This is the Amateur Radio magazine. It is published by the Wireless Institute of Australia here in VK, and I thought that I've got a couple of articles which would be of interest to you guys watching out there. Now, I found these at my local radio club. I just showed it briefly, but have a look there. This article is from May 2005, and you can see they're a very, very young VK7 HAY at that stage. I was working on, I don't know what I was working on, something there. But this was at our model makers exhibition, which we had, and we were showing off amateur radio to all ages. And yeah, quite a while ago, so May 2005, it was actually a write-up, a VK7 news write-up, that over the weekend of the 2nd and 3rd of April 2005, Reese displayed and promoted amateur radio and electronics to thousands of people at the biennial Model Makers and Collectors exhibition at the Derwent Entertainment Centre. Then, a couple of years later, VK7HAY reviews the Diamond X200A antenna. This is a photo from my old setup. This is when I was living at home, the home that I actually grew up in, and that antenna was my first vertical antenna there. So this was published in April 2006. Very interesting article, this one. I say that because I wrote it, but it's not interesting from the point of a technical article, but from just how far I've sort of come since then. I do cringe at a lot of the stuff that I've written in here, so yeah, it's a bit weird reading back some of this stuff. So what did I write? The Diamond X200 was featured in 1992 in an article in Amateur Radio Action. After having read this article and borrowing the antenna for a short time from another amateur and having good results, I decided to lash out and buy one from Andrews Communication Systems at the cost of $149. The antenna is currently available from Dick Smith Electronics for $199. That's interesting. Since then I've got a Diamond. I've had a Diamond X30, a Diamond X50, a Diamond X200, a Diamond X500, and a Diamond V2000. So they're pretty good antennas. Performance, SWR performance. I ran the coax in and decided to do a test on the SWR. I couldn't measure the UHF SWR, but the VHF is good. I can only assume the UHF is the same. The lowest point of SWR, according to the chart, is at 145 megahertz, where it is 1:1. It rises to 1:3:1 on 146/500. On UHF, it is a different story. The lowest point is at 435 megahertz. This antenna may well be used with UHF-CB as well. I read a review on one of these antennas and found the SWR to be around 1.7 at the UHF-CB frequency. Where I used to live was in a bit of a RF hole for VHF and UHF. I lived in a valley, and it didn't used to get out very well. And in actual fact, the story goes that the location that I had was so poor, and I got so frustrated with trying to get into the repeaters, I decided to build a repeater of myself, of my own, and then link it to one of the other repeaters to cover the area. And that's sort of how I got interested in repeaters, because of the lack of coverage that we had in the valley that I lived. Instruction manual. The instruction manual is a single slip of paper with a lot of clear diagrams and descriptions of the X200A. When I first looked at the manual, I saw all the Japanese characters and thought to myself, how am I going to follow the diagrams? However, I turned the slip of paper over and found a nice little section in English with all the required details. Photo 2. Installing the antenna was a breeze. I don't know about that. How old was I there? I would have been 15. Well, I would have written this article beforehand, so I probably would have been 14. So 14 or 15. In actual fact, on the inside cover, it says, the cover photo shows Hayden, VK7HAY, after having installed his Diamond X200A antenna onto the mast. See Hayden's review of the equipment, page 18. All should note the use of appropriate safety equipment when climbing a tower. Very, very wise words. So yeah, that's an interesting article. There was another article, and I don't have the physical copy of it, and that was in the October 2004 edition. And if you look down in the bottom corner here, how I became a ham. Hayden Honeywood, VK7HAY, age 13. And Uh, this article does make me cringe a little bit, just the way I wrote it. I was keen back in the day. I thought I'd write this little article to show new, novice, or future hams what it is like. I'm writing this article about how I got my ham license and what is going on with my rig and antenna. My two uncles have been helping me through the exam all the way to now. I bought my first rig from website vkham.com. I got a HF Yaesu FT757GX with scanning microphone. And you can see the photo there that I've got with the 757GX. That was a great radio. Let me know in the comments if you've owned a 757GX. I went straight to work setting up my first antenna, which is a 21 megahertz inverted V dipole. This would have been probably at a low spot in the solar cycle, and I didn't know that at the time. So later on, after I had much frustrations with this dipole and not making any contacts, or not many at all, I think I made a contact with a local who wasn't too far away. I switched to 80 meters, and then I started to have a little bit more success. I set it up basically on the balcony of my grandparents' home and only received because I had not got an SWR meter. I got a pretty good signal on 21.295 upside from a Queensland station around 5.9 plus 5. Oh, okay. So I must have received a station on it. Then I got my SWR meter and tried to transmit, but my SWR was way too high. So I checked all my plugs and connections, but I could still not get that SWR down. I made a homebrew dummy load to see where the problems were coming from. Then the dummy load broke down and wouldn't work. So I decided to stick with receiving and wait until I could get a whip for 80 meters. I'm still waiting to get my whip. My 21 megahertz antenna is still not working properly despite hard testing and reconnecting of plugs. I thought I'd write this little article to show novice or future hams what it is like when you'll pass the easiest part of the process, which I think is the exam. Anyway, good luck with your antennas and rigs plus SWR tuning, and I say 7.3 from VK7HAY. So there you go. Yes. That was look how young the face is there. Goodness gracious. So yeah, I'd look back at that and I think of all the things that I've learnt since then, and it's ridiculous. So I sympathise with new hams who don't have a level of knowledge that requires you to work out what a problem might be with an antenna or whatever the case is with your radio and your set up in your shack or whatever the case may be. So I guess one thing that I could say for new hams is that, yeah, keep persisting, keep asking people. So what I did was I asked for help from some amateurs in the local radio club, and they came out and they installed some antennas for me. They let me borrow some antennas and showed me what the process was. So I mentioned before about 80 meters. What I ended up doing was I got the 80 meter antenna, and the amateur basically just said to me, hey, here's the 80 meter antenna. We've strung it up. To make contacts, all you got to do is wait until it's nighttime and then have a listen between 3570 and 3610, I think it was, 3620, somewhere around there. And you'll hear some stations and you can work them. And this is set your power on your radio and your RF power and audio and everything else like that. And I had great fun on 80 meters for a little while. And then I progressed to a few other, I think I went to VHF and UHF. And then I went back down. I went to 10 meters and I started experimenting because I got an end-fed halfway vertical at that stage called a Station Master. And I played around with that. And then gradually I learnt over time, okay, so this antenna's for this band and I can use it at this time and I can make contacts with this person. I can do this and that. So don't expect to know everything all at once. Definitely I didn't know that, as is evident from this article. But anyway, I thought I'd share it with you today. So thanks, guys, for watching. Don't forget to ka-chunk that like button, the like button just below. Ka-chunk it like a repeater. 73 for now. Talk to you later.